The Sergio Show. Good show coming up for you this evening, this afternoon, this morning, wherever it is you are listening in. My name is Sergio Morales. Good to hear, good to know that y'all are tuning in. It's nice to see you all again, hear from y'all. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I was very pleased last week about the Chicago stuff, so let me know where y'all tuning in from. And today on the show, we have a few things to cover. First off, we have some Formula Drift and LA Rams crossover, which I found really cool. The debut of the NASCAR short track package, the new one at Phoenix Raceway, and how that played out. Needless to say, the Toyotas were absolutely the force to be reckoned with. Breaking news out of NASCAR, Kobayashi is set to return to NASCAR racing at Circuit of the Americas in a couple of weeks, so that's exciting. And then run through the results. F1 in Saudi Arabia, NASCAR in Phoenix, Super Formula, where Tomoki Noji wins the season opener in Suzuka, and then I'm going to try and cover MotoGP as well. The big part of today's show will be IndyCar at St. Petersburg. That's going to be the main focus. So let me know what y'all are thinking so far, and let's get on with the show. Be sure y'all tune in. You can also tune in on the radio. Let's get the show started, shall we? Yes, it's that time of week again. It is just past 11 in the morning here in Los Angeles, in the Southern California region. It's Grand Prix Talk time. Welcome, everyone, to the show that provides an In-N-Out Burger mindset to the Krusty Krab world of motorsport. Tomorrow is March 14th, which is the day that crabs fries, at least according to Plankton. If you watch the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So keep that in mind tomorrow, because that's the only day of the year you get to post that tomorrow's the day that crabs fries, which is too bad for old Eugene himself. My name is Sergio Morales. Welcome, everybody, to Grand Prix Talk, wherever you're tuning in from. You can tune in on the 22 West Radio website, 22westradio.com, or the app now available on Google Play and the App Store. You can also tune in on my YouTube channel, The Sergio Show. That is The Sergio Show. And my Instagram is at Smorstagram, at SMORstagram. Welcome to the show, everybody. We have a lot to cover this morning, this afternoon, wherever you're tuning in. Before we start with the show, though, for anyone who's actually here on campus right now, later today at 5 p.m., that's 5 p.m. Pacific time for us, at the Beach Auditorium, ASI election debates will be going on. So if you're interested, if you want to go check out that debate, by all means do so. That's later today at 5 p.m. at the Beach Auditorium, which, fun fact, is right next door to the studio where I am chatting to you from. So yeah, there you go. So tune in to the debate. Actually, don't tune into the debate, because I'm not sure if it's going to be on the radio. But go if you have the time and the interest. Okay, now with that out of the way, let us begin with our show. First off, the rundown. We have a lot to cover. We have a crossover that really wouldn't be thought of before. We have the debut of a new short track race package, breaking news out of NASCAR as well. So we begin with, first up, a surprise crossover between football and racing. Tanner Faust, a two-time Formula Drift champion, was spotted drifting around at an event for Formula Drift with Los Angeles Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua. I don't know if I got that right, but look, I'm a huge fan of the LA Rams, and this was very exciting to see. Puka Nacua is, like I said, the wide receiver for the LA Rams. He recently set a massive milestone record for most yards for a rookie, something along those lines. I'm not a huge football expert, but I know a thing or two about it. And Puka was seen in the passenger seat with Tanner Faust, like I said, a two-time Formula Drift champion. And I thought that was really cool to see. I thought it would be something cool to share with y'all. And what can I say? I think it was very cool. Formula Drift, by the way, for those who don't know, is a drifting championship. It's considered to be one of the biggest of its kind. Not only that, but also it's the most popular. This is what a lot of people are left talking about when it comes to all things drifting. I'm looking at their website right now, and Formula Drift is set to kick off their championship April 12th and the 13th. So that's next month, precisely a month from today. None other than here in Long Beach, California, around the streets of Long Beach, which is where IndyCar will be racing on April 21st, and IMSA the day before that. April 12th and 13th, you can catch Formula Drift here in the streets of Long Beach over by the Pike Outlets where the track is currently being built. They will also be traveling to Atlanta, Georgia, Orlando, Florida, Englishtown, New Jersey, St. Louis, Missouri, Seattle, Washington, Grantsville, Utah, and the championship race will be held in Irwindale, nearby here in California, which is not far away from LA, mind you. That will be October 18th and 19th, so keep an eye out for that. Tickets are now available for all races except the Irwindale Championship event, so if you decide to go forward, go to formuladcom/schedule. The first race, like I said, is here in Long Beach, April 12th and 13th. My cousin, he loves Formula Drift, so I'm sure he's very excited to hear that they're coming back once again. And also, I think it's just really cool to see a player from my favorite football team actually hang around with racing. Like, that's pretty cool, honestly. In other news, NASCAR has debuted a new short track race package at this past weekend's race at Phoenix Raceway. How did it play out, I hear you ask? The Toyotas absolutely bombarded the competition here, as did the Fords. Chevrolet, poor old Chevy, just got dusted is what I'm understanding here. And there's some mixed reactions regarding this package because, I mean, I can't necessarily blame them. I mean, even NASCAR themselves is saying, hot take, how Toyota was able to class the field in Phoenix. So says Kyle Petty, at least. And on the note of Phoenix Raceway, how about we run you down some results? This past weekend at the Phoenix Raceway, our top 10 consists of 4 Toyotas, 5 Fords, and only 1 Chevrolet. This is only the top 10, mind you. So that's very interesting. Like, the Fords and Toyotas have definitely seemed to be the forces to be reckoned with, and poor old Chevy, like I said, they're being left in the dust, and they got their homework cut out for them, especially considering that this coming weekend's race is another short track at Bristol Motor Speedway. More on that shortly. Our top 10 from Phoenix Raceway in the NASCAR Cup Series consisted of 10th place, Tyler Reddick. 9th place, Chase Briscoe. 8th place went to Michael McDowell. 7th place to Martin Truex Jr. And 6th place is where we see the only Chevrolet in the top 10 this past weekend. That was Ross Chastain for Trackhouse Racing. The top 5 consists of Ryan Blaney in 5th, Brad Keselowski 4th. On the podium, Ty Gibbs 3rd, unfortunately. Chris Buescher in 2nd, and our race winner was Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell has, I would say this is kind of like his revenge play in a sense, because last time that NASCAR was at Phoenix, prior to this past weekend, Christopher Bell was a Championship 4 contender, and he was the first one to get knocked out of championship contention. Later that day, Ryan Blaney would come away with top honors, finishing 2nd place, but first among the Championship 4, Ross Chastain ended up winning the race. So this is sort of like revenge play in a sense for Christopher Bell, who also won Stage 2 earlier that day as well, earlier this past weekend, not the championship race. Tyler Reddick would be the Stage 1 winner with Ty Gibbs and Denny Hamlin 2nd and 3rd respectively. And Eric Jones, in fact, he would finish 4th in Stage 1 this past Sunday. So that's 4 Toyotas, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the first stage. In the second stage, it was the top 3 Toyotas of Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, and Christopher Bell, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st respectively. Yeah, this is interesting, you know. It seems like Toyota definitely is sort of like the big brand here when it comes to short track racing. How that will play out at next week's race in Bristol, we will have to wait and see, but that is what it's looking like at this very moment. Reactions are mixed, of course, because this past weekend's race at Phoenix Raceway didn't have too much to talk about aside from Toyota/Ford domination, but mainly Toyota themselves. So I don't know how I feel. Like, a lot of people, myself included, believe that Phoenix Raceway isn't a bad racetrack, but it certainly isn't worthy of 2 races, let alone the championship race, which, by the way, that will be in November. So keep an eye out at the end of the year, almost, when NASCAR heads to Phoenix once again, but this time for the championship race. Is it deserving of it? I kind of don't think so, to be honest. Not considering how this past race went. I mean, I don't know. Like, honestly, if y'all have different opinions, by all means, shoot them in. I am willing to discuss and see what y'all think about this whole stuff. So that is NASCAR at Phoenix. Christopher Bell comes away with another win to his tally. Speaking of NASCAR, this just in, it was announced just an hour ago that 2311 Racing, which is Denny Hamlin / Michael Jordan's team, has announced that Kamui Kobayashi will be making his second NASCAR Cup Series start at Circuit of the Americas in just a few weeks' time. Here's a tweet from 23XI Racing themselves. It reads, "He's back. Kamui Kobayashi rejoins 23XI Racing for a second career NASCAR Cup Series start as he takes on COTA with teammates Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick." This is pretty good stuff, honestly. It's good to see that Kamui's back. And so says NASCAR.com. Kamui Kobayashi will rejoin 23XI Racing and makes his second career NASCAR Cup Series start at Circuit of the Americas later this month. His first was at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What was it, last year? Yeah, last August. Excuse me. This marks the second consecutive year the 37-year-old Japanese driver will race in NASCAR's Premier Series. His first stint was at Indianapolis Motor Speedway last August. He finished 33rd that day as the driver of the number 67 Toyota Gazoo Racing North America Toyota Camry TRD. And yes, that was for 23XI Racing, so there you go. Now, I hear you ask, who on earth is Kamui Kobayashi? Well, he may not be super well known here in the United States, but he is well known in Europe. Kamui Kobayashi has a lot of experience in the FIA World Endurance Championship, as well as Formula One and Super Formula racing, which we will discuss here shortly. Super Formula is the Japanese version of IndyCar, I guess, or F1 in a sense. Yeah, like this dude has been everywhere, and I believe he has won Le Mans also. So he's got some big credits to his name. He also continues NASCAR's trend of international stars competing at the highest level of stock car racing. Last year, we had Jenson Button from Great Britain compete, Kimi Räikkönen compete, and of course, Shane Van Gisbergen, who whooped the field in Chicago last year on the street race, where he decided, like, you know what? I'm just gonna be the first driver to win since, like, I think the 1960s in my first race. That was pretty interesting, I'd say. The Cup Series will race at Circuit of the Americas on March 24th. But before that, there is another upcoming race where Kamui will not be present, but a lot of other drivers will. The upcoming Food City 500 will be run this Sunday, March 17th at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. It'll be the first time in a few years that NASCAR races the Bristol Spring Race on concrete. The last few years, since 2021, they've been racing on dirt. And I have mixed feelings about that one. I think it was a good thing while it lasted. The same can be said for the LA Coliseum, and this is coming from someone who went all 3 times to the LA Coliseum race, and I gotta say, it was a privilege to go. It was a lot of fun, but it's time to think about something new. I don't know. But NASCAR did say they're planning on staying in the LA market, so we'll have to see about that. Anyway, the Food City 500, you'll be able to watch it on Fox Channel 11, Sunday, March 17th, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. This will be another opportunity to see if the Toyotas and the Fords are actually up to spec and are the forces to be reckoned with, or if it's just a one-time thing and the Chevrolets might catch up. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but it's looking pretty interesting, if I'm honest with you. Now, the NASCAR Cup Series will not be the only series competing in Bristol this weekend. As I'm pulling up the weekend schedule, it seems like the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series will be joining them. So if you like watching support races, well, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series will be racing at 5 p.m. Pacific time Saturday night, and that will be on FS1. But for those of us who like watching the big league, well, like I said, 12:30 p.m. Fox Channel 11. You can also tune in on the Performance Racing Network or on Sirius XM for all you radio listeners out there. All right, so that is NASCAR for right now. It should be it's an interesting time to be a NASCAR fan as things currently stand. I am left to wonder how they will move forward from here. I'll have to wait and see, because after Bristol, after COTA, there is another short track. There's 2 straight short tracks actually in Richmond and Martinsville. Is this a prime time for Toyota? Is this a prime time? Probably. I think it might be. We'll see. Anyway, let's change subjects here. We're talking all about Formula One here briefly, because there wasn't very much to talk about. The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix happened this past weekend, which saw the surprise debut of rookie Oliver Bearman. I understand that this dude is 18 years old. What was I doing at 18 years old? This dude at 18 is driving Formula One cars for Ferrari, no less. And here I am at a studio at 22 West. Nah, don't get me wrong. I love it here. But, you know, it really does make you think, like, dang, this dude at 18, he's already driving F1 cars. But what about us, you know? What were we doing at 18? That's a good question. You know that? But anyway, Oliver Bearman did make his debut for Ferrari after Carlos Sainz was forced to sit out the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix due to a very serious, I think this dude was experiencing some very serious pain, which it came down to like some sort of condition, but I genuinely feel bad for Carlos Sainz. Like, honestly, I think it was really rough that he had to sit out the race for extreme pain to his stomach and all that. Like, it sucks, honestly, but we wish him a speedy recovery. We hope to see him back on the track very soon. But on the note of Oliver Bearman, who took his seat for that weekend, he finished in 7th place, which actually isn't bad at all. If anything, I'd say that's pretty good, considering that when Nick de Vries took over for Alexander Albon, Monza 2022, I believe he finished like 10th or 9th. Like, he scored some points, don't get me wrong, but Oliver Bearman scored a lot more points than Nick de Vries did. And that sucks. I hate dogging down on this dude because now he's in the World Endurance Championship, but, you know, just a dude's thoughts. Anyway, this past weekend, there wasn't too much to talk about at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, so I'll just run you down your results. Our two non-finishing drivers were Pierre Gasly and Lance Stroll. Pierre Gasly retired on the very first lap, actually. Lance Stroll retired on lap 5 after a pretty bad crash that he had during that lap. The last two drivers to actually finish the race were Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu, 17th and 18th respectively, so that puts the Sauber cars at the very back of the field. The two RBs of Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo, 15th and 16th. Williams driver Logan Sargent, our American hero, finished in 14th. Esteban Ocon finished 13th with Kevin Magnussen and Alexander Albon 12th and 11th respectively. Moving on to our points, Nico Hülkenberg would grab 1 point for finishing in 10th. Lewis Hamilton would finish 9th, so he gets 2 points. Lando Norris, 8th with 4 points. Oliver Bearman, our rookie, our hero, finishing in 7th place with 6 points. George Russell would finish in 6th place, granting him 8 points. Moving into the top 5, Fernando Alonso finished 5th, Oscar Piastri 4th, and Charles Leclerc finished 3rd. It was, for the second consecutive weekend in 2024, it was a Red Bull 1 and 2, with Max Verstappen taking 1st place and Sergio Perez taking 2nd place. Max finished the race in 1 hour and 20 minutes, 13 seconds ahead of Sergio Perez. So that's a little fun fact I decided to throw for you out there. And, well, what can I say? It's looking like this could be the norm. Let's have a look at our driver standings now, shall we? Max Verstappen continues to lead the championship as he did last season. He's got 51 points to his name at the time of this show. Sergio Perez, his teammate, has 36 points, putting him in 2nd place. Charles Leclerc has 28 points, putting him in 3rd place. George Russell has 18 points, so he's 4th, and Oscar Piastri, with 16 points, stands in 5th place. So that's like your top 5 in the standings. I'm surprised not to see drivers like Lewis Hamilton there, honestly. That's kind of bizarre. Anyway, we're also on the note of F1, a brand new video game. The second iteration of F1 Manager is about to release. F1 Manager 2024 is set to launch this summer on PC and video game consoles. So what can I say about that? Frontier Developments, according to F1.com, Frontier Developments' latest officially licensed Formula One management game, F1 Manager 2024, will launch digitally this summer on PC, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series consoles, and Xbox One. Players can once again become the team principal at their chosen F1 squad and attempt to lead them to championship glory, defining their sporting story during the 2024 season and beyond. And actually, excuse me, I got that wrong. It's actually 3. This is our 3rd F1 Manager game. So there's that. I thought it was their 2nd for some reason. I thought it debuted in 2023, but nope. It debuted in 2022. Alrighty, so that is your F1 recap at the moment. Formula One's next race will be in Australia, but it will not be this weekend. It will be next weekend, March 22nd through the 24th. That will be at 10 p.m. Actually, no, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I am so sorry to the East Coast viewers or any East Coast listeners right now. Y'all are going to have to stay up really late. Your race starts at midnight, which, I mean, kudos to you guys, honestly. Like, I don't know how y'all do it. Which translates to 3 p.m. track time over in Australia. So Melbourne, that's always put on some pretty good shows, so it's nice to see them back. So we'll be talking more about the Australian Grand Prix next week on the show, because it's not this week, it's next week. And then Japan follows after that. All right, so there is that for you. I need a quick breather. I'm going to hit pause here for a moment. I'm going to leave you with some Colors by Matt Zoe. This song made it onto the Forza Horizon 5 soundtrack, and now I'm bringing it to you here on the 22 West radio station. Why does it keep doing this, man? It keeps playing like what I don't want it to play. Anyway, all right, gotta pause for a moment and catch my breath here, because it's looking a little, you know, I'm just trying to catch my breath. That's all I gotta say. Anyway, nice to hear from y'all. I'll be right back. All right. By the way, we're gonna talk about IndyCar here after this, so just something to leave y'all tuned in. But how y'all doing? Drop some comments in there while I set up the IndyCar pages up here, and just let me know how y'all been. All right, here we go. All right, perfect. I think we're all set up here. Okay, awesome. So we'll just wait for this on to wrap up. It's Robotaki with Dreamcatcher featuring Miko in the night mix. Yeah. All right, there we go. Let me see, what other promos are there? Because I feel like I might want to throw in some other promos here, just to get other people's shows promoted as much as my own. I gotta go on audio. By the way, I'll show y'all a little behind the scenes. This is what the studio looks like. Here's my iPad, which helps me keep track of what we're doing. This is the studio here, y'all. It's looking pretty technologically advanced for a guy like me, but either way, that's what it looks like. And now I'm gonna go look for some promos and add those in. Anyway, we're back. I'll flip the camera back up here shortly. And yeah, just drop some comments, let me know what y'all doing. Actually, can we pause? I hope this doesn't ruin things, but let me double check. Okay, we're back. Yeah. There we go. All right. I'm trying to find the promos here, but I can't really find them for some reason. Oh, never mind. I found them. Party Collective. Okay, we can have that. All right, awesome. And I might add one more. Actually, we'll add that later. Okay, awesome. All right, we're set. We're time to get back to the show here. All right, welcome back everybody to the show. You did not hear Matt Colors. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to the system, but things happened. You actually heard Dreamcatcher with Miko, created by Robotaki. This is the Night Mix. This is yet another song from the Forza Horizon 5 soundtrack. I just noticed a lot of my songs are coming from Forza Horizon 5, but hey, it's a great game. I strongly recommend it, especially if you like open world racing. And they got a good soundtrack that I decided to just bring into the studio. So there you go. There's that for you. Also, shout out to the promos that just played, those being for Party Collective and K-Pop Corner. K-Pop Corner is Tuesdays, Thursdays, 1 p.m. Party Collective is later tonight, 7 p.m. So tune in. There's a lot more good shows here on 22 West Radio for you to tune into. Yeah, including Grand Prix Talk, which is the one you are listening to right now, which is one of the best shows. At least that's what I like to think. Anyway, back to the show. We're talking about IndyCar racing, which just got its season underway. That is the big thing that we're talking about here today on the show. I got a full recap of the IndyCar race with you this afternoon or this morning or wherever it is you're tuning in from. I got a full recap of IndyCar here today for you. So, IndyCar got underway this past Sunday at the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. It was the 20th running of the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, whatever the heck that is. It sounds funny, all right? So, the green flag started out the race, and actually, let me walk you through your starting lineup for the race, because I don't remember the starting lineup all too well. I didn't take notes of the starting lineup. So here we go. Qualifications, Firestone Fast 6. The Firestone Fast 6 for the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. 6th place lines up Marcus Ericsson. Roman Grosjean lined up 5th place for his first race with Juncos Hollinger Racing after a stint with Andrade Autosport fell through. Colton Herta for Andrade Autosport would start the race in 4th. Pato O'Ward for McLaren would start in 3rd place. And the front row consisted of Felix Rosenqvist in car number 60 and Joseph Newgarden for Team Penske starting the race from pole position. The top 4 drivers ran 5 total laps during the Firestone Fast 6 to get to their eventual lap times. Roman Grosjean ran 4 laps and Marcus Ericsson ran a mere 3 laps. So with that said, let us begin our recap. The green flag flew and everyone made it through turn 1. The green flag would kick off a new season of IndyCar racing, and everybody made it through turn 1 except for Scott McLaughlin, who barely misses a crash. He'd be fine to continue the race, but there was some contact, at least very, very slightly, after Scott Dixon actually had to go off the track to avoid a crash. But Scott McLaughlin successfully dive-bombed into turn 1 to make up as many positions as he can on the first turn and the immediate start of the race. But after that, the first quarter of the race was pretty much incident-free. It was a battle for first place between 2 drivers, Joseph Newgarden and Felix Rosenqvist, who, as I mentioned, they were the ones who started first and second respectively. That would be the vast majority of, in fact, that would be the entire first quarter of the race from lap 1 through 25. Lap 26, there wasn't much to report, but around lap 27, that's when we get our first caution of the afternoon, when Marcus Armstrong, who was just starting out for his team now in car number 11, he made a quick mistake heading into turn 10, and he pancaked the tire barrier, putting him out of the race early. A massive bummer for our dog, Marcus Armstrong. Pit stops went crazy under the yellow flag. Everyone, nearly the entire field, went into pit lane after that, and Joseph Newgarden would actually lose the lead of the race in the middle of those yellow flag pit stops to Colton Herta, who is our driver for Andrade Autosport, or one of them at least. The race would restart with lap number 31, but Colton Herta would not keep his lead for very long. He would struggle to get his tires up to a very stable temperature, because those tires were ice cold, and it would eventually end up costing him the race lead. And this dude went falling down the order as everyone else went around him. I thought he was about to put up a good battle with Joseph Newgarden. No, that wasn't the case. It turns out he was just falling down the order because of his tire temperature issues. So that was a huge bummer. On lap 33, however, Christian Lundgaard, who actually didn't pit under caution, would actually take the lead of the race, but eventually he did have to pit. That was around lap 33. And as Joseph Newgarden makes a move for the race lead, he takes the effective lead as well. But it wouldn't take very long for things to go awry once again. The second caution of the race would come out on lap number 35 because of poor old Stingray Rob. This dude's car went on strike, and by that I mean it decided to give up. It just stopped working. It even caught fire, apparently. Not an obvious fire, but it caught fire. It broke down. That was his race done early. It looked like he was probably going to get underway again and avoid a full course caution, but when he had to climb out of the car, that was pretty much a done deal. The yellow flag would fly on lap 35 again. That would be the second caution of the race. Eventually, he was able to get his fire extinguished from the car, but that was his race done early as well. This dude just doesn't catch a break, and honestly, I kind of feel bad for him. I know FP1 Will on YouTube, he likes to poke fun at Stingray Rob a few times, but like, I think we can all agree this dude maybe deserves a break. I don't know, just my thoughts. The caution flag would only last a mere 3 laps. On lap number 38, the race would restart, and Joseph Newgarden, our race leader, would absolutely run away with it. That is until Pato O'Ward, aka Patricio O'Ward, he suddenly started trailing on Joseph Newgarden's tail, and that was that race there for a minute. It looked like it was going to be these two going at it, and well, it wasn't, because Newgarden just continued to run away. On lap 53, however, another interesting occurrence, as Marcus Ericsson, the 2022 Indy 500 champion, he would actually look like he was going to get out of the race. I mean, this dude was in pit lane to the point where his engine cover had come off. This was just past halfway through the race. And let's see, where did he end up finishing? Yeah, he ended up backing out of the race. He finished 25th due to a mechanical failure, and that was the end of his run. Yeah, so that confirms that. He did enter pit lane around lap 52, and the engine cover came off. So that was a huge bummer for our sweet boy, who actually last year he won. And actually, kind of think of it, now it kind of feels a little bit worse, because I do remember seeing both in 2023 and just this past weekend, there was a pack of fans who were like, they had like the Swedish flag and Swedish face paint and everything. Like, they was in full support for Marcus Ericsson, our Swedish dog, who, by the way, ended up winning last year in St. Pete. But like I said, it sucks that this year he didn't even make it to, he just made it past halfway before he had to drop out of the race. So that was a bummer. And then the third and final caution of the race would come out on lap number 32 because of turn 10 for the second time. Marcus Armstrong was first on around lap 27 with 32 laps left in the race. Turn 10 ate up another rookie in Linus Lundqvist after he made slight contact with Roman Grosjean. Roman, unfortunately, was penalized for avoidable contact. He would have to serve a drive-through penalty. But Linus Lundqvist got the worst of it. He crashed out in the same spot where Marcus Armstrong had crashed out earlier in the race. That would be his race done early as well. Not too long after that, the race would restart, and there wasn't too much left to report. Joseph Newgarden pulled off a Max Verstappen and just absolutely owned the show at St. Petersburg. It would be Joseph Newgarden's 30th career win, including an Indy 500 win last year. He led 92 out of the 100 laps scheduled for the race that day, which was just an outright, absolutely dominant performance. Like, this is basically the Joseph Newgarden show. That's basically how it ended up playing out in St. Petersburg. Like I said, his 30th career win, which is a pretty big milestone. I can't believe he already has 30 wins. I remember a time where he only won like 2 or 3. Like, this is insane, honestly, but I will not complain. So Joseph Newgarden led 92 laps. Colton Herta led only 1 lap. The other 7 laps were led by Christian Lundgaard, who finished in 20th place in the number 45 Hy-Vee Honda. So with that in mind, let me run you down your top 10. Our top 10 consisted of Rinus VeeKay, our Dutch hero in IndyCar. He finished in 10th place. Congratulations, by the way, on your new marriage, by the way, Mr. VeeKay. Scott Dixon, our 6-time champion of the series, would finish in 9th place. Alexander Rossi, our 2016 Indy 500 champ, finished in 8th place. Felix Rosenqvist, who started on the front row, he finished the race in 7th. Our defending season champion, Alex Palou, finished in 6th place. And now we move into the top 5, where Colton Herta finishes in 5th. Will Power, my big dog, finished in 4th, and our podium consisted of Will's teammate Scott McLaughlin in 3rd, Pato Award in 2nd, even though he was pretty close actually. Maybe with a few more laps, he would have caught up to our eventual race winner, Joseph Newgarden, who gets his 30th career win. And like I said last week on the show, Joseph, Scott, and Will are all teammates. So it's a 1-3-4 for Team Penske, and there's just no stopping this team, honestly. I find it all interesting because this isn't just a win for IndyCar racing. I mean, Penske's been on a roll as I believe. They won the 24 Hours of Daytona. They won the season opening race for the World Endurance Championship in Qatar with Porsche. Of course, they won recently the NASCAR Championship with Ryan Blaney, the Indy 500 last year. Like, Team Penske's on a roll lately. And, I mean, for me as a Penske fan, it is good to see, but I just don't want this to turn into another F1 where one driver is just absolutely running away with it. But then again, if that were to happen, well, it's kind of well-deserved, honestly. I mean, that's the same thing that a lot of us are thinking about with Max. So, I don't know, but we'll see. That's just the first race of the season. There is still a lot more racing to go here in the IndyCar series. That is your very brief recap of the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. As you can tell, not too much to talk about there. But there will be some things to talk about in a couple weeks' time. IndyCar's next race, or races plural, it's a little weird, honestly. Their next race will not be a points-paying event. It's just sort of like an exhibition race. The race after that is actually a points-paying event. So it's basically round 1.2, round 1.5. I don't know how y'all want to describe it, but the Thermal Club is about to host IndyCar racing this coming weekend for the, actually not this coming weekend, the next weekend, for the Thermal Club $1 Million Challenge. If you want to go, be prepared to pay a hefty, not fine, but a hefty ticket price. Looking at the Thermal Club's website right now, if you want to go to the Thermal Club for the Thermal Club $1 Million Challenge for IndyCar racing, that's going to set you back a pretty penny. We're talking $500 for a VIP experience. It's a 3-day pass that includes daily lunch, alcoholic drinks, parking, and hey, even pit access. How much are they going to charge you for that at the Grand Prix of Long Beach? Just something to note. So let's see. A $500, and by the way, this is the only price available that I've seen for the Thermal Club $1 Million Challenge. $500 ticket. It includes a seating area with a premium view of the track, getting the full experience of the raw horsepower while the race passes in your view lap after lap. Dude, just say you get a seat at the race. You don't gotta make it sound like that. What else? Daily lunch is included with this ticket, featuring many of the best food trucks in the thermal area and the nearby Palm Springs area as well. There's also other on-site food options. There's also going to be alcoholic drinks for those of you who are 21 and over, including beer and wine. There will be access to the paddock, including close-up and intimate views of all the action in pit lane. Parking is included, and it's apparently just a short distance from the seat, which is something you will not hear very often. So yeah, that's what the Thermal Club is going to look like on March 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. So that is in a couple weeks' time. That'll be at the Thermal Club, which is in Thermal, California, which is actually some ways away from LA and all that. They're marketing this as sort of local to LA. But I mean, when you consider the fact that Long Beach is closer still to, why am I all the way over here? I'm looking at the Google Maps and somehow it sent me into China instead of, the Thermal Club racetrack. From here, from the 22 West studio to the Thermal Club, it's a 2-hour, 20-minute drive. And along the way, you are passing Palm Springs, Cathedral City. You're basically on your way to Coachella in a sense, which, by the way, is any listener here going to Coachella? I'm just curious to know. I don't plan to go because, I don't know who's going to be there. I understand they've announced it, but I really couldn't be bothered to check. So yeah, that's where the Thermal Club is at, roughly 2.5 hours away from here, Long Beach, and like 3 hours or so from LA. $500 if you want to go, just something to consider. I don't know if I want to go, honestly. I'd rather just stay with the Long Beach Grand Prix, considering it's closer to home. But hey, if anyone does decide to go, then by all means, do it. I will not stop you. So that is the non-points paying event race coming up for IndyCar racing. But now we got to talk about the next points paying race, which is the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. We'll be talking more about it closer to the race day, especially the week, though the very time that the show will actually be right before the Grand Prix weekend. It should be a good one. That will be on April 21st at 12 p.m. Pacific time. You can get tickets at gplb.com, and I recommend you do because we're in for a good weekend, it seems. That's going to be the next points-paying event race for IndyCar, but that's, like I said, like more than a month away, more than a month's time away. In fact, between the Thermal Club race and the IndyCar Grand Prix of Long Beach race, the Acura Grand Prix, sorry, there's a month difference. There's a month-long gap. And this is something that I think now that I have the chance, now that I have this microphone with me, we got to talk about the IndyCar schedule. It's weird. Honestly, it's very weird. Like now that I'm seeing it play out, I think to myself like, okay, this portion of the schedule, this opening portion of the schedule is just kind of weird. Like, okay, you had the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg just this past weekend. It went all right, one driver dominated, but well deserved, I suppose. We have a non-points paying event coming up in a couple weeks, and then we have a points paying event over a month from now. And that points paying event is a month in between. A month's time will pass between the non-points paying event at the Thermal Club and the actual race in Long Beach. Why? I feel like that gap could be filled in with another race that maybe you could put at a permanent racetrack, like a track that I think should be getting an IndyCar race. I mean, I don't know, to be honest. There's a lot of tracks I can think of that deserve an IndyCar race. Bristol Motor Speedway is a good option. The National Super Speedway is getting one at long last. What else? Watkins Glen. I'd say that was a pretty decent track to host IndyCar at. I'd say it would be great for them to return. Tracks like that. Homestead, Miami, I think at one point Homestead, Miami did host the championship race for IndyCar racing, but that's long gone. Sebring, of course, I think a lot of IndyCar fans, myself included, like we're all thinking that they got to race at Sebring. It's basically every IndyCar fan's dream in a sense, but no, still no race at Sebring at the moment. It would be nice to see, but my point is this month-long gap, it's kind of weird, and especially the over a month-long gap between one points-paying race and the next, weirder still. After the Long Beach Grand Prix, you have a race the following weekend in Alabama, and then you have like a 1 or 2 week break between that and the month of May at Indianapolis, where there's two races, the Grand Prix of Indy and the Indy 500. And then from there on out, after the Indy 500, you have a bunch of races lined up. Like, there's a 3-week stretch of races, of consecutive races. May 26th, the Indy 500. The following week, the Detroit Grand Prix, June 2nd. And then the week after that, Road America, June 9th. It's quite a bit of a mishmash, honestly. It's not, as far as tracks go, it's actually a pretty good schedule, I'd say. Not perfect by any means, but it's a good schedule, I'd say. But the days that they're holding races, it's a little weird, honestly. I don't know what to say about that. And IndyCar, if anyone there is listening, this is your chance to maybe consider, what can I say? To consider, fixing things up, making the schedule a lot more fluid, a lot more constant. Just something to think about, and just something for IndyCar to consider. Hopefully, they take my word into consideration. All right, let's talk about Joseph Newgarden here, our race winner from the streets of St. Petersburg. As season openers go, according to IndyCar.com, this couldn't have gone much more smoothly for Joseph Newgarden. The two-time NTT IndyCar Series champion won the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, driving the number 2 PPG Team Penske Chevrolet to a victory over over Pato O'Ward, over almost 8 seconds ahead of Pato O'Ward, which is it's a little iffy, just thinking out loud. On a sun-splashed afternoon in front of a capacity crowd that included Grammy Award-winning rock and roll Hall of Famer John Bon Jovi, I hope I said his name right. If I didn't, I am so sorry. Please correct me. And rock icon and reality television star Bret Michaels, Newgarden led 92 of 100 laps after capturing pole position the day before. It's his 30th career IndyCar Series win, which breaks a tie with Team Penske legend Rick Mears for 13th on the all-time win list. 13th on the all-time win list, mind you. And Rick Mears, this dude has won 4 Indy 500s. He's one of four drivers to have done it. Rick Mears, AJ Foyt, Al Unser, and Helio Castroneves, who was competing this battle. Actually, no, he wasn't, but no, he was not competing. He was driving the two-seater. Anyway, Joseph Newgarden was interviewed after the race, and here's what he had to say. I had a lot of fun today. I think it's so deserving for the work they put in, and with they, he means Team Penske. We've worked really hard to close the gap. We didn't have the speed we needed on the road street courses last year, at least on a consistency basis. And today, we brought that speed. We had the execution, as always. The victory Sunday was the pinnacle of an outstanding opening weekend for Team Penske. Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden's teammate, finished third in the number 3 Dex Imaging Chevrolet, with two-time IndyCar Series champion Will Power finishing fourth in the Verizon Chevrolet, giving Penske a 1-3-4 this weekend at St. Petersburg. Colton Herta, as I mentioned earlier, did round out the top 5 in the number 26 Gainbridge Honda, fielded by Andretti Global. Two-time and present IndyCar Series champion Alex Palou climbed from 13th at the start of the race to finish 6th at the end of it, the number 10 DHL Chip Ganassi Racing Honda. Now, Pato O'Ward did finish in second place. He too was interviewed after the race, and here's what he had to say. I think it's a very solid foundation to what is going to be a very tight, very competitive rest of the year. I think the Penskes were just too strong for us today. Newgarden led from the left, and for context, Newgarden led from the drop of the green flag and started to ease away from the rest of the 27-car field. Unfortunately, every caution that came out would quickly burn up his gap between first and literally everybody else. But anyway, that was just like your brief recap. Newgarden he was unchallenged this past weekend, and I am left to wonder, is this a one-time thing, or is this the beginning of a Joseph Newgarden domination extermination operation? Quote me on that one, actually. I didn't know I could come up with something like that. Anyway, Kyffin Simpson, or Kiffin, I don't know how you say his name. He was the best finisher among the 5 series rookies in the field. He finished in 14th in the number 4 Journey Rewards Chip Ganassi Racing Honda. The next event for IndyCar, like I said, is the Thermal Club $1 Million Challenge. If you decide to go to the racetrack, it's near Palm Springs, and like I said, it's a $500 ticket, but hey, your money, and honestly, I love racing, so I know myself, I probably would spend that type of money if I had it. That's Sunday, March 24th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. You can watch it. If you're not going to the racetrack, you can watch it on NBC, the Peacock streaming service, or the IndyCar radio network if you decide to tune in via radio. So we should be in for a pretty good weekend in a couple weeks' time. Let's talk about some other IndyCar news. For anyone who's going to the Milwaukee, if there's any listeners out there in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area, I have good news to share with you. Camping, parking are both on sale now for the Milwaukee Mile IndyCar race weekend in August. Celebrating IndyCar's historic return to the Milwaukee Mile on Labor Day weekend, the Wisconsin State Fair Park announced just this past Monday morning that fans can purchase camping packages and infield parking for the August 30th through September 1st event weekend. So if you are in the Milwaukee area, now is your chance to get yourself some tickets to the race as well as some camping, because I know that's a big thing around those states, around that region of America. You can also get yourself some parking as well. Priced at $515 for the complete weekend package. It's not a one-day thing, it's the full weekend. Priced at $515 for the complete weekend package. The Highview Milwaukee Mile 250's infield camping site provides substantial savings and ensures an immersive and unforgettable racing experience. Hey chat, just curious, would anyone want to camp at a racing site? That's just, I mean, hearing this out loud, like, would I ever want to camp at a race site? I have no idea, but hey, for those of you who decide to do it, well, there you go. It's now available if you live in the Milwaukee region. Now's your chance to get some tickets, and especially some camping sites. In other news, for those of you who are going to the Indy 500, expect your blue envelope to arrive really, really soon. Here, I have a photo here of Felix Rosenqvist and another AJ Foyt Racing driver with Doug Bowles, the president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The blue envelopes are on their way. They are being mailed right now. Indianapolis 500 fans will watch their mailboxes after the highly anticipated blue envelopes featuring race day tickets were mailed Tuesday, March 12th from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway ticket office. It's Stingray Rob, who's this other driver here. AJ Foyt Racing's Stingray Rob and Meyershank Racing's Felix Rosenquist were on hand to assist with the initial mailing, which included shipments to all 50 U.S. states, the District of Columbia, and 36 countries around the world as race fans eagerly await the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gainbridge on Sunday, May 26th. Stingray Rob was there. He was interviewed. Here's what he had to say. This is really cool. It's the start of what we dream about during our off season, and it feels like it's becoming real as we approach the month of May. It's really cool to see physical tickets still going out to the fans, because you see people who have been coming to the track for 50, 60, 70 years for the 500, and they probably still have some of those tickets laying around. We're continuing that history here today. You know, I went to the Indy 500. I had the huge privilege of going to the Indy 500 in 2016, the 100th running, which was a complete and total sellout. There was not one ticket left, not for general admission, not for grandstand tickets, nothing. It was all gone. All tickets were sold out, to the point where actually the localized blackout of the race, which means they don't broadcast the race live in the Indianapolis area to encourage people to go to the race itself, that was lifted for the first time in decades for the 2016 edition of the race. Granted, it was the 100th running, so of course there was going to be a lot of hype going into it, but I still have my 100th running of the Indy 500 ticket at home. Like, I have not gotten rid of it. I think my mom has been trying to get me to get rid of it, but Mother, as much as I love you, I'm not getting rid of that ticket. That's something I'm keeping for the rest of my life. Continuing on, according to this article from IndyCar.com, Rosenquist and Rob also took time to write notes and signatures on a few envelopes, with Rosenquist's special messages going to ticket buyers from his native Sweden. Quote Rosenquist on this, because he was interviewed as well. It's cool to give a little message to some select fans back home. It gives you a perspective of what we are doing. It's so cool that people are coming from all around the world to watch this race. It means so much to me. I actually live here in Indy now, and the Indy 500 is both the greatest race in the world and my home race. But the fact that people are coming from my home country to watch, it gives you an idea how big it is. Now I am left to wonder, how big of a deal was it when, when Marcus Ericsson, were there any Swedish fans in the stands that day? Because I imagine they went crazy when Marcus Ericsson won it in 2022. And not that I blame them, honestly. I think it was really cool that he actually got to do that. So just a little something to consider. It takes approximately 9 weeks to package all pre-order tickets for mailing, from orders the day after the previous year's race up to current orders right now. Hard work from employees in the ticket office and other Penske Entertainment Corporation departments ensures the ticketing process runs smoothly and on schedule. IndyCar.com has shared some interesting facts about these tickets, and here they are. I'm going to share them to you. The number of tickets sent: more than 190,000 items have been mailed out so far. That includes 160,000 Indy 500 race day tickets. 160,000 tickets to the Indy 500 on race day have been mailed out so far. Then there's also parking tickets, qualification and practice tickets, concert tickets, all that stuff. 160,000. That is bonkers. For context, I'm trying to think of a quick event that I can think of. Okay, for context, I went to BTS in 2021 here at SoFi Stadium. They were there for a total of 4 nights. Roughly 50-ish thousand people packed SoFi Stadium every night. So 2 of those nights combined amounts to just over 100,000. A total of over 200,000 people went to see BTS over the course of the 4 nights. This race is catching up, and it's catching up fast. So, when BTS comes back next year, I guess they got work to do. The number of blue envelopes sent so far has been more than 26,000. There's been more than 5,300 pounds of all ticket envelopes and trays in first mailing. So there you have it. It's a very exciting time for IndyCar right now, except for the weird schedule that I described already. And we should be in for some really good stuff, honestly. I think now is a great time to follow IndyCar racing. Like I said, their next race is in a couple weeks, the Thermo Club $1 Million Challenge. All right, y'all. That's my time to clock out. It is now just about to be 12 p.m. So I just want to say thank you all so much for tuning in to Grand Prix Talk this week. Next week, we'll be talking more about NASCAR, more about IndyCar as well. Mostly NASCAR, though, because they're the big one who is going out to the racetrack this weekend. We should be in for a really good time. So thank you all so much for tuning in. My name is Sergio Morales. You can tune in to 22 West Radio on their website, on the app. You can also tune into my YouTube channel, The Sergio Show. So be sure to tune in and follow me on Instagram at Smorstagram, SMORstagram. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. We will see you next week with more Grand Prix Talk. Until next time, take care, everyone. I'll see you soon. Finally, I got it working. This is Matt Zoe with Colors from Forza Horizon 5. That's how we walk out of the show this afternoon. So thanks all for tuning in. See you next time. For real now. Man, that left me a lot to talk about. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, YouTube. I will see you all very soon. Take care.